It was supposed to be just another Monday morning. But for Danielle Myers, that day marked the beginning of a nightmare. She wasn't just losing her job. She was about to uncover a truth that would shake the entire town. This is the story of how one woman's quiet strength exposed a darkness no one wanted to see. And why, even today, some people still refuse to say her name. Danielle had worked at Meriton Pharmaceuticals for nearly 5 years. A quiet, brilliant lab technician, the kind of employee who showed up early, stayed late, and never complained. She was the only black woman in her department. Not that it mattered to her, at least not at first. That morning, she walked into the glass conference room after getting a vague email from HR. Her supervisor, Mr. Collins, wouldn't meet her eyes. A woman from corporate read from a printed sheet of paper. Due to internal restructuring, your position has been terminated effective immediately. Danielle blinked. Restructuring? They'd just hired 2 new interns last week. I don't understand, she whispered. I've never had a complaint. My last review was excellent. The HR rep adjusted her glasses, avoiding Danielle's gaze. It's not personal, Ms. Myers. It's company policy. Then, she slid a paper across the table. Danielle's severance agreement. 2 weeks' pay, and a warning not to discuss the matter publicly. As Danielle packed her things, whispers followed her down the hallway. 2 co-workers looked away as she passed. Another, someone she'd trained herself, avoided eye contact entirely. But then, she heard something that stopped her cold. They said she was caught stealing samples. A voice murmured. You know how they are. Danielle froze. They. 2 syllables that carried a lifetime of pain. She turned to face them, but they just smiled awkwardly and walked away. That night, she sat at her kitchen table surrounded by half-packed boxes and unopened bills. Her phone buzzed, an email from an anonymous sender. Subject, they set you up. Attached was a photo. It showed Mr. Collins, her supervisor, standing with Greg Hammond, a regional manager who'd been under investigation for bribery. They were laughing in a bar, the same night Danielle had been accused of mishandling lab samples. Her heart pounded. Someone inside the company was helping her. But who? 2 days later, a knock came at her door. A woman stood there, early 30s, brown hair, trench coat, camera bag slung across her shoulder. Danielle Myers? She flashed a badge. Layla Cruz, investigative correspondent, Channel 9 News. You don't know me, Layla said, but I've been following your case. Someone sent me documents linking your firing to a cover-up inside Meriton's research division. Danielle's breath caught. What kind of cover-up? Layla hesitated. The kind that kills careers, and sometimes, people. Layla spread a folder across the table. Photos, emails, internal memos. All pointing to a secret drug trial Meriton had buried. One that caused neurological damage in multiple test patients. Danielle had unknowingly been processing data for that very study. And when she flagged anomalies in the results, inconsistencies that suggested falsified data, that's when the restructuring began. She wasn't fired because of her performance. She was silenced because she asked the wrong question. But the racism that cloaked it made it easier for them to get away with it. Layla leaned closer. I want to go public with this story. But if we do, they'll come after both of us. Danielle looked out the window, headlights reflecting off puddles like fractured stars. She thought of her late mother, who'd worked 2 jobs just to send her to college. She thought of every time she'd been told to be grateful, be quiet, be careful. Then she said it quietly, but firmly. Let them come. That night, Layla set up hidden cameras inside the car. They parked across the street from Meriton's downtown headquarters. Danielle wore a small microphone under her coat. She was about to confront Mr. Collins directly, pretending to seek closure. When he arrived, Layla hit record. Danielle stepped out into the cold rain. Collins looked startled to see her. Danielle? You shouldn't be here. You lied about me, she said. You told people I stole samples. That's ridiculous, he said, laughing nervously. You misunderstood. But then his tone shifted. He leaned closer. You think you can play victim? You were lucky to even have that job. The board didn't want your kind in the lab in the first place. The microphone caught everything. Every word. Layla's eyes widened in the car. They had proof, not just of discrimination, but of the conspiracy behind it. But as Danielle turned to leave, headlights flared behind her. A black SUV pulled up fast. 2 men in suits stepped out. Corporate security. One grabbed her arm. The other snatched her bag. Ms. Myers, one said coldly. You're trespassing on company property. You need to come with us. Layla hit the car horn and jumped out, camera rolling. Get your hands off her. But before she could reach them, one of the men shoved Danielle toward the SUV. Layla's camera hit the ground. The lens cracked. Rain poured over the screen as muffled shouting echoed. Then, silence. Authorities are investigating the disappearance of Danielle Myers, a former employee of Meriton Pharmaceuticals, last seen outside the company's headquarters late last night. Layla sat in her apartment, staring at the broken camera on her desk. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. A distorted voice came through. If you value your life, stop digging. Then, a click. She stared at her wall, covered with photos, notes, red string connecting faces and files. Her eyes stopped on one name. Greg Hammond, regional manager. The same man from the bar photo. But now, a new report showed something chilling. Greg had died the previous week. Car accident. No witnesses. And on the coroner's report, one line stood out. Toxicology results. Pending. Layla picked up her recorder and whispered. Danielle didn't disappear. She was taken. She looked at the cracked photo of Danielle, smiling in her lab coat, badge clipped to her chest. If Meriton thought they could bury her story, they have no idea what's coming next. But what Layla didn't know was that Danielle was still alive. And she wasn't running. She was watching. They said she disappeared. But the truth was darker than anyone imagined. Danielle Myers hadn't vanished. She'd been erased. And somewhere deep beneath Meriton Pharmaceuticals' pristine headquarters, she opened her eyes to a nightmare no one was meant to survive. Danielle woke on a narrow cot, wrists bruised, head pounding. A white light flickered overhead, too bright, too sterile. She wasn't in a police station. This was something else. A voice crackled over the intercom. Ms. Myers, you're awake. Good. We have questions for you. She tried to sit up. Where am I? Who are you? Silence. Then, calmly, you're at one of Meriton's research facilities. You've seen too much, but you can still be useful. Useful. The word made her blood run cold. A man entered, white lab coat, ID badge flipped backward. His eyes were sharp, but lifeless. You worked under Dr. Hammond's division, he said. You processed data for Project Helix. Danielle frowned. I handled medical reports. I didn't even know what Helix was. He smirked. You do now. And that's a problem. He slid a tablet toward her. It showed test subjects, civilians, injected with an experimental serum. Each file stamped confidential, do not release. Her breath hitched. These are real people, she whispered. They volunteered. Mostly. He looked at her with a strange calm. We need your cooperation. If you help us clean the data, we let you go. Danielle clenched her jaw. And if I don't? He leaned closer. Then you'll become part of it. Meanwhile, Layla Cruz sat in her apartment, surrounded by glowing monitors. Every station in the city was repeating the same narrative. Police believe Danielle Myers staged her own disappearance following a data theft at Meriton Pharmaceuticals. Layla slammed her fist against the table. They're rewriting the story already. Her editor had warned her to drop the case. You're chasing ghosts, Layla. They'll ruin you. But something in her gut wouldn't let it go. She played the last clip from her cracked camera, the moment Danielle was taken. Zooming in on one frame. She saw it, the license plate of the black SUV, half covered by rain, but still visible. She froze the image and whispered, Got you. Days blurred together. They called it observation. She called it prison. Through the small glass window in her door, Danielle watched workers moving crates marked H27. She noticed something. Each crate had the same initials printed on the side, Dr. ER. Then, one night, she heard them say the name aloud for the first time. Dr. Evelyn Reed wants results by morning. Danielle's heart stopped. Dr. Evelyn Reed, the same scientist her father once worked with before his sudden death. The same woman whose name was erased from public records after a failed experiment decades ago. Was her firing connected to that? During a power flicker, Danielle acted. She jammed a piece of metal from her cot into the door latch. When the lights dimmed again, she slipped out. The hallways were long, sterile, silent, until she reached a glass lab. Inside were rows of vials filled with glowing blue liquid. And on a digital board above them, Project Helix, Human Trials Resume. She found a folder labeled Subject 14. The photo inside nearly made her collapse. It was her. Her own face. Her voice trembled. Oh my God, they've been testing me all along. Layla traced the SUV's plate to a private facility owned by Reed Biotechnics LLC, a subsidiary of Meriton. No official address. No online record. She parked near an abandoned warehouse, miles outside the city. Only one light glowed in the distance. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A low, shaky voice whispered, "Layla, it's Danielle." Layla nearly dropped the phone. "Danielle? You're alive? Where are you?" Static crackled. "I don't have much time. They're experimenting on." The line went dead. Back in the facility, Danielle found a small office marked E. Reed. She slipped inside. On the desk, old newspaper clippings about her father, Dr. Samuel Reed's former colleague. Headlines read, "Whistleblower scientist found dead after lab explosion." Danielle flipped one page and froze. There, in a photo taken years ago, was her father, shaking hands with Dr. Evelyn Reed. And standing beside them, Mr. Collins, the same man who fired her. She whispered to herself, "My firing wasn't random. It was generational." A voice echoed from behind her. "You shouldn't be here, Danielle." Dr. Evelyn Reed stepped into the light. Calm, composed, eyes like polished glass. "You remind me of your father. Always asking questions." Danielle's voice shook. "You killed him." Evelyn smiled faintly. "No, he killed himself by trying to expose brilliance before the world was ready." She stepped closer, placing a hand on Danielle's shoulder. "You're different. You are the experiment now. The perfect blend of science and destiny." Danielle backed away. "I'm not your creation." "Oh, but you are," Dr. Reed whispered. "You were engineered for this." "He never told you, did he?" Danielle's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" Dr. Reed leaned in. "You're living proof his formula worked." Before Danielle could respond, the lights cut out. An alarm blared. Evelyn cursed under her breath. "She found us." Layla's flashlight flickered as she descended into the underground tunnels. She followed the sound of sirens, and a woman's scream echoing faintly. "Danielle," she shouted. Back inside, Danielle sprinted down the hall, clutching the folder marked Subject 14. She turned a corner and froze. Corporate Operative Number 1 stood there, rain dripping off his coat, gun in hand. "It's over," he said coldly. Before he could pull the trigger, the ceiling lights shattered. A surge of blue electricity rippled through the walls. Danielle's hands glowed faintly, the same hue as the serum. Her breath trembled. "What did they do to me?" In the chaos, Layla found a shattered observation window, and below it, the lab, torn apart by energy. On the floor, a scorch mark shaped like a handprint. Danielle was gone. A single security monitor flickered to life, showing Dr. Evelyn Reed boarding a helicopter. Next to her, a glowing containment case marked H-27, asset recovered. Layla whispered, voice shaking. "They didn't lose her, they took her again." She turned toward the camera, determination burning in her eyes. "If they've turned her into an experiment, then I'll turn the whole world against them." Justice doesn't vanish. It waits beneath the surface. And what's coming next will change everything.